Welcome to the weekly update from Contrabass Conversations. I'm your host, Jason Heath, and this show covers everything that's going on in the world of the double bass. You can get links to everything I'm talking about at contrabassconversations.com/news. Now, in festivals and competitions, the Fredonia 2017 Bass Fest is coming up on February 11th at the State University of New York at Fredonia. So join Fredonia bass faculty member Kieran Hanlon and several great guests, and also check out the Fredonia Bass Fest High School Solo Competition with live finals during the morning. Check out the show notes for more details. The Galicia Graves Festival and Competition is coming up February 17th through 19th, and I'll be speaking tomorrow with Simon Garcia, Diego Zacares, and Gabriele Raggianti about this event, so look for that coverage very soon. The Chicago Bass Festival will be coming up March 5th at Bennett Gordon Hall at Ravinia, just north of Chicago, Illinois. Alex Hanna, principal bass of the Chicago Symphony, is the new artistic director for this event. And I'm happy to tell you that I'll be there covering the entire event. I'm coming in from San Francisco to cover this event, so expect great footage here on the podcast. And if you're anywhere in the area, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, anywhere in the Midwest, mark your calendar March 5th for this event. Join me, join Alex, along with Northwestern University bass professor Andy Ricidi, Chicago Symphony bassist, and DePaul University faculty member Rob Kassinger, all of whom, by the way, are former podcast guests, and Michael Cameron from the University of Illinois, as well as many other guests for this great event. The ISB 50th anniversary convention is coming up. It's the start of a new year, and it's time to start thinking about this major event. It's June 5th through 10th. Mark your calendar and check out this special message from Rufus Reid.
Hello, bass players from around the world. I'm Rufus Reid. I'd like you to join me in supporting the fund drive for the 50th anniversary of the International Society of Bassists. Our next conference will be next June 2017, at Ithaca College in Ithaca, New York. If you've never attended one of these conferences before, you're going to get blown away. It's unbelievable and so much fun, so much to learn. Each and every time I go, I'm so inspired. I must come home and go to work, practice, all that stuff, because it's just very inspirational. So please, join me in supporting this 50th anniversary fund drive. It will be a very special event, and I hope to see you there. Okay? All right, take care. Bye-bye.
The Braditich Second International Solo Competition will be taking place September 1st through 5th, 2017. And I just sat down to talk with Jeff Braditich about this event, which I will be on site covering this September. Very exciting. The finest solo performers in the world are invited to compete for the most generous awards in double bass history. The first prize is valued at more than $30,000 US. It's open to anyone under the age of 35 as of September 1st, 2017, and you can't have given a formal New York City debut recital yet. Check out in the show notes also the documentary of the 2010 Braditich International Solo Competition. It's a great highlight of the event, and it'll give you some insight into what's in store for this fall. And if you're interested in having me cover your event, and that could be a quick shout out like I'm doing here, or one of these in-depth, on-location experiences like I'm doing for the Braditich Solo Competition and the Chicago Bass Festival, send me an email, feedback@contrabassconversations.com. I'd like to take a moment and give a shout out to the sponsors, D'Addario Strings, let you know about their Helicore strings, which are multi-stranded steel core strings. They're designed, engineered, and crafted at the D'Addario String Factory in New York, and you can get them in orchestral, hybrid, pizzicato, and solo sets. I'd also like to thank Rob Anzalotti of Bass Capos for providing hosting for Contrabass Conversations. And Bass Capos are an excellent choice for any bass player looking to implement a double bass extension. They're easy to install, easy to adjust, they're cheaper and more reliable than hand-built latches, and they're lighter and quicker to operate. Learn more at basscapos.com. In events, the NAMM show, January 19th through 22nd, is happening in Anaheim, California, right outside of Los Angeles, down by Disneyland. And I will be there, my first NAMM show ever. If you happen to be there, let me know. I'd love to meet up and say hi. Svetozar Vujic will be giving the world premiere of the Concerto No. 3 for double bass and orchestra, the Porteño, by Maurizio Annunziati. And this will take place on February 17th. Best wishes to Svetozar on this premiere. Very exciting. Eric Steffens will be playing the Nino Rota Concerto with the South Westphalian Philharmonic on March 17th. Eric's a former student of mine. It's very exciting, and he's also an upcoming podcast guest. So congratulations, Eric. Links to all those events in the show notes. And my link of the week for you, I'm going to share something I've been digging every week. And this week it's Double Bass Score, which you can find on YouTube or on Facebook. It's very cool the way that this is set up. The YouTube videos follow along with famous pieces, and you can see it scrolling along. If you're listening to the audio, go check out the videos so you can see how this works. And we'll show a quick clip here. Thank you to Lloyd Goldstein, Rufus Reed, David Gillespie, Viviana DeMedici, Susie Waters, who's the mom of a freshman performance major, Mark Stefanu, who enjoyed the Terry Barbet and the Caleb Quillen interviews, checking those out on YouTube, Ray Kilinowski, Corey Brown of No Trouble, Alberto Moreno from Costa Rica, Peter Seymour, Project Trio, Seth Haynes, Darinka Todorov, and Guy Tune. These are just some of the people that wrote in this week to say hi, to offer congratulations for the anniversary, and to just give a shout out. Jerry Ramos wrote in, who's playing jazz, Afro-Cuban music, salsa, funk, and R&B all over the New York City area. And John Liebman of For Bass Players Only also wrote in to say congrats on 10 years. And he and I will hopefully be catching up in person at the NAMM show later this month. Ilan Dimovski of the Zagreb Philharmonic in Croatia also wrote in to say hi. He said he's found the blog and podcast very helpful, and he discovered it through Hans Sturm. Martin St. Germain also wrote in to say he's loving these weekly update news shows, and he really enjoyed learning about one of the previous links of the week's orchestraexcerpts.com. And Pierre Gueño also wrote in. He says, I'm a French luthier living in Requena, Spain. I've been repairing all kinds of string instruments for more than 15 years, but lately I've become more and more interested in double basses. I just wanted to drop a few lines to tell you that your podcast is very interesting, especially the luthier interviews. It's nice to hear from other makers or restorers, their paths, personality, and tips. I also enjoy bass player interviews because, as I live in quite a rural area, I don't have as much musical talks as I'd like. I don't want to sound like a poor, sad, isolated luthier, but it is true that when I heard your show for the first time while I was working, it was like sharing the workshop space with a new, passionate colleague. Thank you so much, Pierre. I love that kind of feedback. And if you want to offer up any feedback at contrabassconversations.com will get your message to me. I'd love to give a shout out to Adam Booker, who was the past guest this week. The first interview of 2017. It's great to start the year with Adam, who's doing wonderful things for the bass up in the Arctic tundra of Duluth, Minnesota. I'm kidding, it's actually very beautiful up there, though it is very cold in January. I think it's the coldest city in the US typically. Adam's a great player and a great guide. You can find his interview at contrabassconversations.com/Adam Booker. And our anniversary shows, if you haven't checked them out, check them out and see what you think. You can find the best of 2016 at contrabassconversations.com/2016 and the 10th anniversary show, complete with listener feedback and a great conversation with my host, John Grillo, my co-host for so many years. That one is contrabassconversations.com/10years. And coming soon on the podcast, the list of interviews scheduled or recorded and in the can continues to grow, so expect to hear soon from Bernard O'Neill, my first guest hailing from Ireland, Bob Nesky, who's on the jazz faculty at New England Conservatory and Brandeis University, Kevin Brandino Brown, a multi-Grammy award-winning bassist and producer, Dan Stiffey, the great virtuoso soloist and principal bass of the Oslo Philharmonic, a Turn the Tables interview where David Hayes of Recital Music interviews me, Eric Steffens, the principal bassist of the South Westphalian Philharmonic, Kevin Brown, principal bassist of the Detroit Symphony, Marcos Machado, bass faculty at the University of Southern Mississippi and the author of The Tao of Bass, Matt Eulery, who's active in the indie Chicago jazz scene and just released a new album, Normand Guilbault, the eclectic jazz bassist from Quebec who also performs Aboriginal Quebecois music, Patrick Naher, the bassist, composer, and former bass professor at the University of Arizona, and Ted Bodsford of the Seattle Symphony. These are just some of the people that are starting off the new year. Thank you so much for following along, and if you'd like to support this endeavor in any way, there are many ways to do so, both financially and non-financially, and you can find all of that at contrabassconversations.com/support. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.